Good afternoon, welcome to Colin's Vegan Kitchen. I'm Colin, I'm vegan, this is the kitchen. Okay, so in this episode we're going to make mince and potatoes, or like the Scots say, mince and tatties. So as you know, it's vegan. We're going to be using some vegan mince, always good, and I'm going to be making a gravy with that, mashed potatoes and some sprouts, Brussels sprouts. Not the favourite of a lot of people, but they taste great when they're done properly. I'll be doing that with some cumin, bit of butter, Bob's your uncle. Right, so I'll be boiling the spuds, give those a peel. I'll be making the mince with carrots, onions, peas, the staples again, and I'll take you through it as I go. And I was asked to do this by a mate of mine, Wendy, who I've known since I was a kid over in the Isle of Man. So I hope you like it, Wendy. She's married to a good mate of mine, also Butch, over there. Me and Butch go back. So I left school, and me and Butch used to work together. You know, you get out of school, you sign on the dole, and then you have a look for a job. The first job I had was in a supermarket stacking shelves, which was horrible, and it lasted about a week. Then fortunately, I got a job working for a brewery, delivering beer. And I was on a wagon. I was going to say a wagon, but it was a van. It was like a Bedford van. So it was me and him let loose for the summer. And we started, and because the van was so small, we could load it up in like 15 minutes. So we go into work at 8 o'clock in the morning, load the van up, off to the cafe. So we go to the cafe, sit there for a few hours, do a drop off which would take about an hour. Then it was lunchtime, so we'd have a bit of lunch, then back to work, load the van up again, another 15-minute job, drop it off as fast as possible, so we'd be finished by about 3. Then put overtime slips in till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. Best job I ever had, and still to this day I'll say to people, you know, yeah, being a musician, travel the world, do this, parties, that was great. Also, when you'd do a drop at a bar over at the pubs, they'd give you a free pint for the job. So you might have 7 drops that day, so you were 7 pints in by the time you finished. So anyway, cut a long story short, got to the end of the summer. Butch was saving to go to Cannes, I think it was, south of France somewhere. And the powers that be got wise to our overtime slips. So they pulled us into the office one morning, I'll never forget it. Walk into the office, and the guy called Terry, who was the boss, looked at us and said, like, do you think you're taking the piss a bit? And we're like, whoa. And Butch said, listen, I'll take the rap, this had nothing to do with him. He says, I'll take the rap for it. I was going to leave anyway. Thanks to the overtime. Shag you later. So a few weeks later, he sent a postcard to the office at the brewery saying, having a great time, thanks for all the overtime, it was marvellous, brilliant. Funny stuff. I lasted, after he left, about, I don't know, a month, if. And I was out. Fun was over. Winter's coming in. So that was it. We were out. But got a lot of nice clothes out of that one, and lots of drinking. So yeah, this is for Wendy. And Butch is a great chef. He's had restaurants in the Isle of Man for a long time, and he's a bit of a celebrity chef over in England. So he'll be watching this, ripping it apart. So anyway, get stuck in, kids. All right, let's get to it. Right, I'm going to peel some spuds, and I'll get back to you when they're done and boiling. Then I'll go through the mince. I'll make the mince with some brown sauce, some vegetable stock cubes, and salt and pepper, the usual stuff. Bit of soy sauce, Liam Perrins flavour it. Both separate things, obviously. All vegan, everything's vegan. And yeah, here we go. Let's get stuck in. I might have to take this jacket off because it's going to get a bit hot in here. So yeah, let's take the old jacket off, shall we? And I'll be back with you very shortly. All the best. Okay, so I've got the onions cut, I've got the oil getting nice and hot, and we're going to add this into the old pan. We'll get that in there. I'm going to add some pepper and some salt and some lovely stuff. I'm not going to add the stock or anything just now. I want to get this started. I want to get this cooking. Give that a little stir. The spuds are boiling nicely. Like I say in this, we're going to just use peas, carrots, onions. We've got the vegetables, we've got the Brussels sprouts, which I'll show you. Very quick and easy, but taste amazing. So we'll keep this going. Yeah, being brought up in the Isle of Man, I was fortunate when I was a kid. In those days it used to be one of the main holiday resorts for England. So you get a lot of people in the summer coming over. It's packed. And every Sunday there was a place called the Lido, which had bands on, like big name bands. And I was so fortunate to see bands from like T-Rex, Mark Bolan, to Mott the Hoople, to Status Quo, God, Thin Lizzy, you name them, they were there. It was so good. The first gig I ever saw was Tom Jones when I was 7, and my mum dragged me to see him. I was into him, so we got there. Amazing, unbelievable. I had to stop my mum from throwing a bra up on stage. It was a bit embarrassing. And go forward a few years, I was in a studio in London, and Tom Jones was in next door. He was doing some stuff with Van Morrison. So I was outside in the car park having a cup of tea. It was closed, car park, and he came out with his son. His son manages him, and I sort of said hello, and he was like, all right. And I says, I hope you don't mind, Tom, but I have to tell you, my mum took me to see you when I was 7 years old. He just looked at me. He's like, fuck off, boy. And great lad, he says, get the tea on. So we had a cup of tea, and then I saw him in Vegas. And it just got better and better and better. But such a nice guy. I mean, I've heard his wife's just died recently, so sorry if he ever saw this. But great gig. But yeah, I saw so many bands. Then moving to Newcastle, there was a show on TV called The Tube, which was live on a Friday night, which I did a few times, I think 3 times, which was amazing. And I used to go through, on a Thursday. They'd do the sound check and run through cameras, lights. On the Friday they'd shoot it, and it was all live, going out live. I saw probably every band in the world through that show. And the green room was great as well. You know, there'd be like Jules Holland, Paul Yates, everyone just hanging out, having a blast. So yeah, it was just a big scene in Newcastle at that point. That was like sort of early mid 80s, and then it just went huge. And actually, we got our record contract from being on the show. We did. We got a call. We got a call from the producers and said, "Listen, would you come down to London tomorrow? We want to film you at the Marquee." So I think at the time I was doing, my mate has got a shoe shop in Sunderland, so I was helping him out in the shop. We get paid like 10 quid a day. So it was like a mad dash, get in the van, get all the gear, so we're off to London, we're doing the Tube. And we did the Tube, and Paula Yates at the time was one of the presenters, and she introduced us as, if no one signs this band after this, they're fucking crackers. So we did it, and we were playing at the Marquee the week after, and there's a pub on the corner just up the street in Wardour Street called The Ship. So we finished the sound check, went to The Ship for a few pints before the show, We came back out of the pub and there was a line down the street, there was a queue. We thought, like, who are we playing with? Who's on tonight? I don't know who's... And it turned out it was for us, and we did get a deal out of it. We signed to Arista Records with Chris Cook, our A&R man at the time. He's a mate of mine on Facebook. And I've been fortunate to keep in touch with everyone, so I've clocked to see what everyone's up to these days. And majority are still doing it. We're still musicians. But yeah, we judged one of the... we signed with Arista. There was this sort of pact, I don't know if Chris knows this, but the word was out because record companies in England couldn't figure out how we were getting so many gigs and doing so many TV shows without a record contract. So after the Tube, it was like the sheep trials. Every company in England were after it. They were after us. So we had this big show at the Marquee, and everyone was there, from Warner Brothers, Sony, you name it, they were there. And we said before the gig, before we went on stage, it says afterwards, whoever's got the most amount of booze on their table, that's who we're going with. So, bang, Arista, well done. We were doing a video, the big release for the single, and we had this big plan of doing it on an oil rig just off Kirkcaldy up in Scotland. So there was helicopters. It was amazing, unbelievable. And we were playing on this oil rig, and we had to fly out in a helicopter and got interviewed. Me and Joss, the bass player, got interviewed by this girl from BBC Scotland, and it was her first time in a helicopter and Joss and my first time. So it was going out apparently live, this interview. Nothing apart from a lot of screaming. So yeah, we did the video. It looked amazing. And we were rehearsing to go to Europe down in Brighton, just outside Brighton, at this residential place. And one night we were watching the news, and this news flash came up. Disaster, oil rig on fire, people are dying. And we're looking at going, this is like the week before the video comes out, and we're like, we're over. It's all over. And through respect, obviously, to the families and people who lost their lives, we pulled the video. We couldn't go through it. I think it got played 3 times. Got reviewed by Fish from Marillion. He loved it, and people loved it, but we couldn't play it, unfortunately. Until that, ever since, I've seen it about 4 times. So if anyone's got a copy of Revolution on an oil rig, well, you know where I am. I'd love to see it. Okay, onions are doing. What we're going to do is get some carrots out. Okay, I've got my carrots, onions and peas sizzling away. I've got my sprouts that I've just halved, cut the bottoms off, halved them. So now what I'm going to do is use this meat, the mince beef. It's called Beyond Beef, which is 100% plant protein, and it tastes good. You just treat it, you know, it doesn't take as long to cook, obviously. So we're just going to bang this in the pan with this. Spuds are nearly done, so we're going to give them a jolly good mashing. Right, to this, again, a bit more salt, a bit more pepper, some tomato ketchup, very important again. It's a chef's secret weapon, I tell you. We're going to add, if I can find it, some, where is it? Where's it gone then? Oh yeah, some A1, it's like brown sauce, like the equivalent of HP sauce. Very nice, get that in there, lovely jubbly. We will be adding a bit of water to this to make a gravy, of which I'm going to put some vegetable stock cube in, make it all nice and veggie. And what I usually do is just, you know, half it and just sprinkle on the top here. Get that in there. Then I have boiled the kettle for a cup of tea. Stick the fucking kettle on, will you? Right, so I'm just going to put a bit of water in there, like this. That will start to thicken up and make a lovely, lovely, lovely gravy. If you haven't got enough water, there's plenty in the tap. Nothing wrong with that. So that'll be getting nice and thick and mincy. Next, I'm going to do the sprouts. Just shove them in a pan with some butter, some cumin, and maybe a little water just to give them a good cooking. But don't cook the life out of them. There's nothing worse when we were kids getting horrible mushy sprouts. That's why people got put off. I couldn't do it until I had some done properly. Now they're great, and they're also good for you. All this again, all vegetables, so you're getting plenty of vitamins. Roughage, you know, spuds, you can't go wrong with spuds. Spud with everything. Mash, boiled, fried. How do you like your spuds? Every way. So that's going to be there. I'll just add a little bit more water, a bit cold to this so it can start bubbling up in there. Right, in the pan here, actually, my spuds I think are done. Yeah, I'm talking about the Isle of Man. I went back a few years ago. I hadn't been back for a long time. And I saw all my old mates. And I was still drinking at the time, so I just got very drunk for a long time over there. I was staying with a few mates of mine, first Pat. Then I moved over to another mate of mine, James King. And he's a good chef. He used to rustle up stuff, and it was like a miracle. I don't know how he did it. I remember doing Sunday dinner with him one day, and he got the old Yorkshire puddings on the go, and it was marvellous. Well done, James, over there in the Isle of Man. Good work, my son. Right, so there, going in the frying pan. Hey! Give them a good toss. Sprinkle some cumin on them. Just gives it a nice smoky taste. Again, salt and pepper. And a little bit of water. Just so they don't... The water will evaporate, there won't be any water in it while I've done it. Put this butter away. So right, I've got my spuds. So I'm going to give them a good mashing, and we'll be coming back to you very shortly. It'll be lovely. This is all bubbling away. If you find the gravy's too thin, you can add a bit of flour. That'll thicken it up for you. Okay, here we are. Well, I've got me nice mashed potatoes, all fluffy in there. We're going to put this on the plate, like so. Lovely and fluffy. I have my mince. I'm going to turn the sprouts off. Let me get this out. Whoops. And we shall give it a try, shall we? Look at this. Look at that. Get in there for a bit over the old spuds. Some gravy on there. Over here. Like so. Some sprouts on the side. Oh, smell great. Now, what we'll do, some brown sauce. That's how I like mine. Get that on there. And now I'm going to try it. So, thanks again. Mince and Tatties with sprouts on the side. Lovely jubbly. Let's give it a whirl, shall we? Let's give this a whirl. Bit hot. Result. Come back next time. I'm going to have a guest on, a guy called Kevin Haskins from Bauhaus. Whoops. He's going to be in the kitchen with me. Great drummer, great producer, songwriter, great lad. So yeah, my name's Colin. I'm a vegan. This is the kitchen. All the best.